Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you are all having an absolutely incredible day. To start things off, and what might be one of the oddest things I think I've ever heard since things that were happening last year, the crypto influencer who created a petition urging Ripple to stop selling XRP now says he's ready to fork the third largest cryptocurrency. Crypto Bitlord told his 100,000 followers on Twitter that he and his supporters will create an alternative to the XRP ledger in just 60 days if Ripple doesn't stop selling its holdings of the digital asset. He said, and I do quote, "Finally, people are starting to take this seriously. If they don't stop dumping XRP, the next step will be a community takeover. We will fork this SHIT and start again. That is a promise," end quote. Bitlord also responded to Ripple CEO, his name is Brad Garlinghouse, who recently posted a tweet storm to counter fear, uncertainty, and doubt facing Ripple and XRP, the world's third largest cryptocurrency by market cap. He said, "The power of the petition is making waves. Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz, you now have 60 days to stop dumping XRP or we will stage a community takeover. If it's a decentralized network like you say, we have the power to do so," end quote. Bitlord also pushed back against Garlinghouse's assertion that XRP is not a security. He said, "This is strange, Brad, because when I buy XRP, I'm expecting a return on investment. A pump, actually. It's made by a company who controls and fosters the network. It's sounding a lot like a security, even to someone as smart as me." Ripple owns more than half of the total supply of XRP. Each month, the company releases 1 billion XRP from escrow, selling a portion of its holdings and then returns the unsold remainder to the escrow for another 60 months. According to Ripple, the company uses the funds to run its business and invest in companies working to boost the blockchain and XRP ecosystem. At the time of writing, Bitlord's petition, called Stop Ripple Dumping, has reached half of its targeted goal of 5,000 signatures. Since 2016, Ripple has cumulatively sold $1.41 billion in XRP. Where do I begin? I saw this and I heard about this and I thought it was a joke for a number of reasons. And I think the strongest reason that I can even possibly begin to think of is, if you've been into cryptocurrencies for anything longer than a year, even a year and a half, let's say 2 years, you know or may have realized that forks typically don't go over as well as they usually are said to do when they are first executed. The reason why, now once again, this is all my opinion. The reason why I find a large portion of this incredibly interesting is the word that I will use, is that regardless of whoever forks any coin, and even more so if we're going to focus on XRP right now, whoever forks it and makes XRP2 will not have access to the 250 banks that Ripple does. They will also not have access to 80% or plus 80% of all the banks within India. It's just very odd that this is all happening. For those of you who don't know and were not here, Ripple, I think, is still undergoing a number of lawsuits. Why are they undergoing lawsuits? Because I think people have too much time on their hands, and I think and I'm not joking either, I think they can't find anything else to do with themselves or with their time. You know how much energy people put into trying to defame someone or talk negatively about someone or try to do this or try to fork or you could change the world if you just did positive things that didn't make you look completely insane. This is kind of one thing that I'm going to say. One of the lawsuits that I think they're still under this situation. For those who don't, and I'll try and give it to you as quickly as possible. Since the end of 2017, 2018, the United States SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, came forward and said that they believed a large number of cryptocurrencies were securities. A lot of people who were not in finance and cryptocurrencies were their first foray into the financial world, didn't understand what securities were, and immediately started calling anything else that wasn't Bitcoin a security. And when we finally went over what a security was, people made sure to note exclusively, well, Ripple's a company and they have this, and therefore XRP must be a security. And I said, no, the SEC came forward and said pretty much anything that wasn't Bitcoin or that they haven't explicitly stated outside of Bitcoin that is now considered a commodity was considered a security. A security, for those who do not know, is a financial term for something that you buy, sell, or hold or accumulate with an expectation of profit, i.e. you buy Apple stock because you expect to make a profit. You're not buying Apple stock because you expect the price to go down. One of the lawsuits that Ripple, I think, once again, is currently still under. There was a man, it says one plaintiff, his name is Ryan Coffey. He said he bought 650 XRP. That is one, that's not 650,000. That's not 65,000. It's not even 6,500. He bought 650 XRP. On the 6th of January, 2018, once again, this is when everything started getting started, at $2.60 per coin. He then sold 2 weeks later at $1.70. Because of that, he said that because of what Ripple had done, therefore he had lost money. He decided to open up a lawsuit against them. The most fabulous part of this all is, if you are, my opinion, if you are smelling the BS in the air, it's the nicest way of me saying it. If you add up the numbers, I think he lost, air quotes, around $600 and decided to open up a year-long, if not more, lawsuit against a multi-billion-dollar company, which led me to believe, especially at the time when we got this information, that this was all a ploy. I didn't know if these people were joking who opened up the lawsuits, because it's one thing if you end up losing 50 million, even if you lose around 800,000 because of what's happening, that sometimes warrants a lawsuit, depending on who you talk to, depending on who you ask. If you lose $600, you're probably just doing it for attention. Even more so on the same exact topic, if you happen to buy Nike stock, Apple stock, Amazon stock, and during a really hard season, hard quarter, the price of that stock went down by a good, let's say anywhere from 25 to 45%. Would you, as an investor, then decide to open up a lawsuit or take legal action against Nike, against Amazon, against Louis Vuitton or any other company because you had lost $600? What I think is happening here is that a number of people have gotten into the cryptocurrency space. Once again, this is my opinion. And they don't understand the entire idea of cryptocurrencies or how long this is actually going to take. An enormous amount of people have dived headfirst into the cryptocurrency spotlight, space, sphere, whatever you want to call it. And they were expecting to become millionaires overnight. I've made sure on this channel to mention hundreds, if not 38 bajillion times, that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put your money into the cryptocurrency space, you have to be prepared to lose it all. The money that you have in the cryptocurrency markets, it should not be money that is used to pay your rent, to feed your baby, to buy diapers, to pay for your car, to pay for your medical bills. Anything that you might have, anything you dump into cryptocurrencies should be excess after your main bills have been paid and you have your normal standard of living. Any extra $5, $10, $15, $25, depending on how much luckier you might be in any financial world, any extra money you have, go for it. Put it into the cryptocurrency space. What a lot of people I've seen on my channel, as I have a channel, and I can definitely say this, I've been doing this channel for quite a long amount of time. I know what an actual XRP supporter looks like or sounds like, and I will tell you why. People who support XRP understand the fundamentals of XRP. They understand the power of having hundreds of partnerships. They understand what the back end of payments is going to mean when we get mega companies and banks and institutions like SBI talking about potentially that they're going to use XRP for their backdoor remittances, potentially billions of dollars flowing through the XRP ledger. This is why people get into XRP, because once again, they understand and they've done their research. It doesn't take that long to do research. They understand exactly what this all means. And even the price dropping for XRP from $3.60 to 25 cents where it is right now doesn't exactly faze them. They may be upset or annoyed that the price hasn't really risen, but they understand the greater picture. And I'll put it that way because at one point, XRP is one of my favorite projects, if I can say this. So I understand exactly where these people come from and exactly the vision that they see. It's kind of the same exact thing if you're a Bitcoin maximalist. You see the vision. You understand because you've done enough research and you understand exactly how all this comes together in the final scene. In my comment section, I'll exclusively list it to that. I've noticed an enormous amount of people, and it's not 15, it's not 20, it's several hundred people. I'm not sure if these are different accounts. If it's the same person who has nothing better to do with their days, then write in the comment section under different names, aliases, alias, don't know the plural for that. I've seen a lot of people writing, and it's always the same. They always write, I'm an XRP holder. However, I think that Ripple is doing a terrible job. I'm an XRP holder, but I think that XRP is going to go lower. I'm an XRP holder. It always begins exactly the same. It always is someone commenting that they're letting people know that not only are they an XRP holder, but however, maybe, and then it's something negative about Ripple. And I always sit there and I go, okay, I know that you are a spam bot or just someone who's lying, but it's totally fine. Like I said, if you've ever met someone in the XRP community, if you've ever had a conversation with someone who has XRP, you know that people really, really love XRP. I'm not exactly sure what's happening behind the scenes with other people who are claiming that they're against XRP. If you've done any research into XRP, especially if you look at some of my earlier videos when we were discussing the actual topic of XRP being a security, it is fairly obvious, and I'll tell you why, that XRP is not a security. It goes pretty much like this. The SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, has made it their goal in life to tear apart and destroy any company who was selling an unregistered security to anyone within the United States. This is why Kick is currently under a lawsuit from the SEC, why we get news on a daily basis that this company who ran an ICO, who ran this, who ran that, who had this, who did that, who did so and so and so, they are currently under lawsuits by the SEC for selling unregistered securities to people or even allowing people within the United States to have access to these assets. You know what they haven't done? There hasn't been one lawsuit by the SEC or even any mention of Ripple in any document from the SEC since this entire wave of regulation started at the end of 2017. What's the most interesting is that every other ICO, every other cryptocurrency, every other platform that has been dragged down the street by their ears by the SEC hasn't even been 1/100th as large as Ripple. Don't you think it's kind of weird that if the SEC is publicly shaming other companies and people and institutions and people who created ICOs, STOs, everything else, that they would have probably publicly gone after Ripple a very long time ago? Logically, one can only assume. On top of that, the people from Ripple have made sure that they are compliant as possible. And if you look at their board of directors and people on their this and people on their that and who holds this position, I think they have 2 former SEC members, which should logically let people know and understand that any type of information that may have led people to think that they were a security was probably cleaned up and swept under the rug immediately by the former members of the SEC. On top of that, this is a complete time warp. I'm going to make sure that everyone understands exactly what all of this means. On top of that, Brad Garlinghouse is currently the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, not to mention that they hold an enormous amount of XRP, which even lends even more money onto their side. When Brad Garlinghouse, and he did this in 2018 as well, and I said, okay, that does it for me. When Brad Garlinghouse went onto the news and he stated to CNBC, yeah, we're not a security. We're fairly certain that we are not a security. I said, okay, that does it for me. I got it. They're not a security. Do you want to know why? It's not because I like Brad Garlinghouse. It's not because I think he's cool. It's not because I like his last name or like the penthouse that he probably lives in. As a multi-million-dollar company, you cannot go onto television and announce, yeah, we're pretty sure we're not a security, so keep buying what we have and keep buying what's out there. You would get crushed by every US court-based regulatory system on this planet. They would demolish you. So as a multi-billion-dollar company, Brad Garlinghouse openly stating multiple times, whether it be on Twitter, I don't think he's on Reddit, on CNBC, on Fox News, wherever he's been, any type of panel that he's been on, whether it be in Switzerland, in Germany, in Europe, in Asia, people asking him, are you a security? He goes, no, I'm fairly certain that we're not a security. Announcing to the world, to the US public, that you are not a security pretty much gives them a flag in the air that says we're safe. You can do it. You can so and so and so. Brad Garlinghouse has mentioned this at least 3 times that I can think of off the top of my head. Do you understand the regulatory lawsuit backlash that you as a multi-billion-dollar company would face by announcing something like that? If you are a security, or if you are not sure that you are a security, you are not allowed to announce on television or to the public that you are not a security unless someone has told you that you are not a security. Think logically. If you have 2 former members of the SEC who probably know current members of the SEC on your board, and you are allowed to say out loud, we are not a security, multiple times, one can only assume, if you've never lived in the US, for those of you who do not know, I was born in the US. If you've never lived in the US, I'm letting you know how things work. For those of you who do live inside of the United States, I'm pretty sure you're shaking your heads back and forth, up and down, going, yep. The United States does not play as they say. What are the 2 things that are certain in life? It's death and Uncle Sam. The United States would ravage you and make sure that you were publicly shamed for the rest of your ever living life if you ever did something like this in public. I'm fairly certain, just based off of what I've read, what I've seen, what I've heard, what Brad Garlinghouse has said numerous times, I'm pretty certain that XRP at this point, without any explicit writing from the SEC, is probably most certainly, more than likely, not a security. I feel like what's happening is that a lot of people who got into the cryptocurrency space, once again, thought that they'd be multimillionaires by now. And the fact that they are not, and this goes back into what I was saying in 2018 as well. A lot of cryptocurrency channels fell apart. They kind of disappeared, didn't really, they weren't really around anymore. The prices went down. They couldn't really hype up the market. However, there were an enormous amount of channels who kept on pumping certain coins, telling people you're going to be rich, you're going to have all this money, you're going to so and so and so. And I've seen a lot of people also try to strike back at me from my videos that I've made before. I think I made one. It was, can XRP make you a millionaire? Can Bitcoin make you a millionaire? And I went over the numbers. I said, if Bitcoin hits this price, you'll be a millionaire. If you hold this amount of XRP and XRP goes to this price, yes, logically, you will also then be a millionaire. Other channels kept on saying that by this point, this date, this time, XRP was going up to this amount. XRP was pumping up to this. XRP was definitely going to hit this number on this date, at this time, at this evening, after this meeting, after this activation, after this so and so and so happened. And I kept on telling people, that's probably not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. The market might move up, but it might also move back down. I think a lot of people got into the cryptocurrency space in 2018 expecting a boom, a massive jump up in prices. Don't forget, never forget, we were also told by many analysts in 2018 that by the end of 2018, Bitcoin would probably be over 50,000 US dollars. And I kept on saying, it's looking unlikely. It would be nice. I won't lie. It would be great. I'd be very happy. I remember even saying, I think I said by the end of 2018, if Bitcoin went by 50,000, I'd like dance on the table, something ridiculous. You all know that I say incredibly weird things. The point is, go for it. Whoever is proposing this hard fork, please, by all means, go for it. Things like this only help to strengthen the current view of a cryptocurrency. If you think personally that with 2,500 signatures, that you can successfully fork XRP and also somehow garner, get 250 plus banking partnerships, go for it. Forking XRP does nothing. The same way that we've seen Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Red. I think there's a Bitcoin Yellow. I think there's also a Bitcoin 2. These forks fall into obscurity. They may have one day in the spotlight where someone pumps the living heck out of it. It goes up by 2,000%. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, look at the price going up. And then a couple hours later, the price completely collapses, and anyone who had their money inside of it really lost their money. I don't understand. Rather, I get it. I understand the impatience. I am also impatient. I am also a person. I understand how this works. I would also like to be sitting on a beach. I would also like to, have several $1 million. That'd be great. Buy a house for my family. Just go relax. Pina coladas, margaritas, hanging out with friends. It all sounds wonderfully fantastic. If you are in the cryptocurrency space for the quick money, there's the door. It's open for you. Please have a good day. You need to understand that the cryptocurrency space is not going to become this mega, ultra, super rich, fantastic thing where you can brag to your friends how much money you made over the course of a 3-month period and how much richer you are than them and how many pretty girlfriends you have and how many houses you've bought overnight. That is not going to happen. It takes a lot to become a new global standard. Bitcoin has been around for 10 years and it is still extremely volatile. What we have are companies, institutions, banks, networks, people, groups trying to make sure that these things grow properly, that they don't falter, that they don't collapse. Do you understand what it would mean for XRP to go from 25 cents to $15 over a 1-week period? That would be one of the largest pumps in the history of the world. And do you know exactly what would happen a minute after that happened? The price would collapse and everyone would flee from XRP and never touch it again. Everything takes time. Amazon and Apple did not become, weren't they $1 trillion companies or something like that? That does not happen overnight. It takes about a good 20 years and some change. For those of you who were not here, there was a period, I remember when I was a little kid, where everyone laughed at Apple and Apple was never going to make it. Apple stock was worth pennies. Nobody would ever touch it. Same exact thing with Amazon. Amazon was a book company. Amazon sold books. Amazon is now one of the largest, if not the largest corporation on this planet. It takes time. I understand that it's difficult to wait, but that is not how the world works. We are not going to build a new financial system that is going to happen overnight, like I said, for you to be happy that you became a millionaire. If you are serious about being in the cryptocurrency space and you've done your due diligence and your homework and watched videos and read books and read articles and documentaries and really understand what blockchain is and what we're trying to do, even more so, even if you don't like XRP or Ripple, just understanding what they're trying to do. They're trying to take over the financial system and rebuild it on a blockchain. It does not happen overnight. These lawsuits are going to continue. Ripple is a very easy target. If Ripple was around the number 8 coin, I think we'd never hear about any lawsuits. The fact that Ripple has XRP has been the number 2 coin a number of times. I think it makes it a very easy target for people who are either Bitcoin maximalists, who don't like XRP, to buy 650. This is once again my opinion. To buy 650 XRP, to buy it, then sell it, and then complain and launch a lawsuit. A lot of the lawsuits against, I think they have 2 current ones that are against Ripple, are nonsense. Absolute, complete nonsense. I think they are a very easy target. I think it's easy for people to put an apple on their head and keep trying to shoot an arrow at them. But the same exact thing can be said for Ethereum as well. A lot of you might not remember, or even know this, a lot of the coins have been threatened by lawsuits before by other people simply because they have an office, they have a home, they have a place where you can find them. The Ethereum Foundation, the Litecoin Foundation, the Tron Foundation, the Ethereum, the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance, they all have places where you can go. It just so happens that the team from Ripple announced first, they were not the last, announced first that they were okay with regulations because they understood how to play the game. They understood that they, like many other coins, would be completely crushed. Why do you think so many coins are desperately trying to go to the SEC? Because you have to play ball. If you want to take over the former system, you don't do it by putting on horns and rushing in. You do it with handshakes. You do it with, hello, how are you? We can definitely help you. Just use our system. You'll be totally fine. And this is why they're using the system. The point is, I saw this. I thought it was a joke. It is not. But please, by all means, I like forks. I think forks are kind of cool. I think a lot of people would also benefit from any type of fork that would happen, especially if people get extra XRP2 coins. True people who are into XRP would sell those in a couple of seconds just to buy more XRP, because usually what happens after a fork is that the price of a cryptocurrency goes down. By all means, make the price lower so that they can buy more at a cheaper price from your new coin. I assume over the next 60 days, we will receive more information about this this community takeover. That's not how, that's not how a takeover works. Like, this isn't, what's the word? Oh gosh, what is it called? I can't remember the phrase. It doesn't even matter. Vote of no confidence. That's exactly what it is. Like, this isn't 2,500 people writing. You know how many petitions we've seen against the Brexit that have like 80,000 signatures, and they're probably not going to go anywhere. Anyway, once again, if you are here for the long haul, I implore you, nay, I think it completely necessary to do as much research as possible. Read up on the space, figure out what you like and what you don't like, and what you don't like, stay away from it. If you think this project is cool, go for it. But to announce, and first of all, everything here is just falsified. We know that XRP wasn't made by Ripple. It was made by someone else, and he gifted it to Ripple. This is exactly what I'm talking about. So the same exact stuff that we saw spewed out in 2017 and the beginning of 2018 was clarified over the course of about a good 2-month period. And this is why, thank goodness, in the comment section, you realize you don't see those people anymore, like, or as many people, talking negatively about Ripple or saying the same exact thing about XRP that they used to say before, because they're looking for brand new things to kind of shun Ripple or shun XRP or talk about how bad it is. Remember they can print infinite coins. Remember, it's not as fast as they said it was going to be. Remember, there wouldn't be an escrow. I'm not telling you to look back at my own videos, like literally by any means, but the comment section was littered with so many false statements. And the only statements that they can get now in a desperate plea, my opinion, is to simply call it a security. Whenever and the reason the SEC has stated before in 2018, for those of you once again who do not know, why, or rather, I think one of their lawyers, there was a huge discussion as to why they have not explicitly come out stating why this coin and this coin and this coin are not explicitly securities. It's because we have a lot of coins out there. We have a lot of businesses who are dealing with the SEC. And the idea is that if you announce this, this, and this are not securities, you then have about a good 150 other companies suing you and filing lawsuits against the SEC to say, I'm also not a security. I am also not this. I am also not so and so. I want to be under the same exact category. We launched the same exact. Why'd you tell them? Get it? It's too much work. It's too much paperwork, and therefore, this is why we have certain guidelines that the SEC has announced before, talking about what is and what is not a security. And one of the main things was that if you are distributed enough, not a security. Anyway, I think I got that out of my system. I can't think of anything else that was happening in here, around here. And I guess the final point, the final point, as far as them dumping XRP onto the market, I pretty much said before, I assume that at some point some of their friends or the SEC by themselves came to the people from Ripple and said, as you are currently in possession of a large amount of XRP, you need to distribute these coins on a daily basis, monthly basis, blah, 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 blah basis to make sure that you have less than 49.9% of the total circulating supply. And this is why I said a couple of days ago, even a week at this point, I thought it was interesting that they gave as a gift 1 billion XRP to the people from XLRP Labs, XRVRLR, some letter combination labs. I think they're doing this in an effort to make sure that they don't have a majority stake anymore. And I assume myself, the date that that happens, we'll probably even may get an actual confirmation from the SEC. But until that point, the tiny, super small question mark still remains. But yes, finally, I've addressed it. Let's move on. Next up, Bakkt will open its warehouse to customers' Bitcoin. What was that? Okay. On the 6th of September. In anticipation of its impending, why does this guy look so sad? In anticipation of its impending futures contract offerings, the company announced on Wednesday in a tweet, the Intercontinental Exchange-backed Bitcoin futures provider said it would begin offering customers secure storage for Bitcoin to prepare for the launch of its daily and monthly futures contracts on the 23rd of September. Here's the tweet right here. Bakkt announced it had secured the last of its necessary regulatory approvals to launch earlier this month, more than a year after first unveiling its plan to offer customers a regulated, physically settled Bitcoin futures product, effectively bets on Bitcoin's price at some future date. While Bakkt's launch has been delayed by regulatory holdup multiple times, it now plans to begin offering customers access to the first physically settled futures contracts in the United States next month. Unlike cash-settled futures contracts, such as what the CME offers, customers receive the actual Bitcoin they bet on when a contract expires instead of getting cash. This is excellent. I am glad this is all moving forward. I almost said as planned. I guess it pretty much was as planned. The point is, I'm excited, if you couldn't tell, to see exactly how much that they're going to warehouse. These numbers are going to be very transparent. They're going to, not that they're going to have to tell people, but this will become public knowledge as to how many coins they're custodying, how much are in their warehouse, how many are in, not in people's accounts specifically per se, but this is why we know how many coins that Coinbase has, how many coins that Binance has. One would assume that the New York Stock Exchange, in a dire plea for transparency, will let us also know exactly how many Bitcoin they're holding. We're going to get huge information relatively soon of exactly how many Bitcoin they're holding, how much they're custodying, and also I'm very excited to see soon in the future those metrics for prices of exactly how much volume is passing through Bitcoin futures on a daily basis, because this will not be US dollars flying around anymore. It's going to be in Bitcoin. How much money is flowing through Bitcoin? We had information last year for those of you who did not forget or did not remember. Don't remember. What was I going to say? That's insane. I was just thinking of trying to explain how other people would not remember, and then I also forgot myself. That is an actual shame. I'm not even that old. The point is, the other part is that a lot of people are waiting to see what other coins that Bakkt is going to announce that they're also going to be listing as well. They've mentioned before, especially in 2018, that they were open to the idea of allowing other cryptocurrencies onto their platform. Remember that other video that I had where someone, oh gosh, what was it? I think the people from Bakkt announced that they couldn't launch because of the CFTC. The CFTC said you can't launch unless you have a proper custody solution, company, blah, 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 so-and-so. And they mentioned that they had acquired or something with a company. They had partnered up, and that would be their new custody solution for cryptocurrencies. And I looked through the website, and they had 13 coins that were listed onto their platform. Someone mentioned a couple days ago in the comment section, apparently that list has disappeared. I think people realized what was going on. They were like, digging through the information as it's all on the internet, and they kind of took the news away. I think at this point, because it's taken so long, they kind of just want to launch. I assume They want to just be able to say that we've launched, it's on, it's going, let's start, let's do Bitcoin. And I assume as the months go on, we're going to see an enormous amount of interest, that's a nice way of saying it, from other people trying to also get their other coins listed. I assume at the forefront will be Ether and XRP. Why? It's also because the people from the NASDAQ announced last year, which is kind of weird that we haven't even heard any news about this. Whatever, not important. The people from the NASDAQ also said that they were going to be launching a cryptocurrency exchange this year in Q4. We haven't heard anything about it. Maybe it's just a lot easier to launch a cryptocurrency exchange without having to go through all the proper channels that Bakkt did. But the people from the NASDAQ announced, people were asking them, there we go. People were asking them, I think on Twitter, do you plan on offering this coin? Are you going to have this coin? What other coins are you planning on offering just besides Bitcoin on your cryptocurrency trading platform? The people from the NASDAQ said it would not make a lot of sense to have a cryptocurrency trading platform and just have Bitcoin. We're looking into, I think they said the top 10 coins. And this is why, and it's really weird that it hasn't happened. I assumed that based on that information that people would have completely lost their minds and figured out a way to get their coins into the top 10 or make sure that they stay in the top 10, because if you're talking about liquidity, actual usage, people wanting to, you know, I want this coin because it has a good chance of making me money, or this so and so, a lot of liquidity or being able to sell off the coin because of how many people are using it. One would assume that the top 10 coins would also be targeted by the major institutions, but as long as Bakkt launches, I'm excited. People have been announcing, or rather have been stating in the comment section that they're not that happy about Bakkt launching. Kind of is what it is. I'm doing like one of those like a scale things with my hands, like going up and down. It kind of is what it is. This was going to launch whether we wanted it to or not. The golden lining that I see in this is that one of the largest financial institutions in the entire world is officially into Bitcoin. They themselves have been acquiring an enormous amount of Bitcoin. They are opening up a warehouse for people to start depositing Bitcoin onto their platform, and also people who are going to be using Bakkt over the next couple of months, years, etc., around the world are going to be trying to acquire as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. This is going to cause a major shortage in the amount of Bitcoin that are currently floating around out there. And this will only be beneficial to the price. I think people mistake a lot of times, like, once again, this is not in fiat. This is going to happen in actual Bitcoin. People are going to be accumulating as much Bitcoin. People are already accumulating large amounts of Bitcoin every single day in an effort to just have it for themselves, for their family, for their legacy, to put it into mountains, wherever the actual case might be. People, my opinion, I think that people don't look at the larger picture. These things were going to happen. I mentioned in 2017 and people hated me for it. I said, there's only one real bankster coin right now, and it's Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been adopted by banks, by institutions, by stock exchanges on a level that people can't really even fathom right now. And when we get clarification on exactly how many coins Bakkt has, how many they're holding, how many they're custodying in their warehouse, and the actual volume passing through their systems, it's going to be immense. I think we just had, I don't have it in here, gosh darn it. We have news, the news was, I think CME, who has the actual other Bitcoin futures contracts that they have, I think they do around $500 million per month in fiat, just trading the actual contracts back and forth. Imagine what happens when that's in Bitcoin. Imagine when Bitcoin's price goes up and more people try to accumulate more Bitcoin in an effort to make their, it all makes sense. I can see the numbers, and I already have said before, I don't think that there's a lot of Bitcoin floating around out there. I think a lot of people aren't going to react to that until prices start going back up. But that's, once again, just how things work in the financial world. People don't want it until it's more expensive. And then when it's cheap or inexpensive, nobody wants to touch it, except for me. I keep buying. I don't care where the price is. I'm certain, I know I'm insane enough, I'm gonna keep buying Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Litecoin, question mark, EOS, many other coins, focusing on Bitcoin. Even when the price is around $100,000, I'll still try and get 1,000,000 Satoshis if I can. I think I'm crazy enough to keep buying for the long haul. Anyway, that's the Bakkt news that we have. I'm incredibly excited. Like I said, there was no stopping the wave. It's going to hit us, and we might as well just enjoy it while it's there. Next up, for both those involved in Bitcoin and traditional markets, all eyes have been on the world's central bank over the past year. A prominent French bank, Société Générale, is currently expecting for the European Union's monetary body, the European Central Bank, to begin more capital injection into the economy. Should this play out, the Bitcoin price could benefit a lot. Since the Great Recession and the birth of Bitcoin, central banks have enlisted what is known as quantitative easing. My goodness. Quantitative easing. What's easing? Quantitative easing. This monetary policy sees central banks purchase securities and assets off the open market. Often it's bonds, otherwise known as debt. Sometimes it's precious metals or even stocks. Quantitative easing, also known as open market operations, has catalyzed a massive boom in the stock market, one that is nearly unmatched in modern society. However, it has come at a cost: growing wealth disparities and the mass printing of fiat money. That is the money that you have in your wallet. But according to a recent report from Bloomberg, which cited a prediction from France's Société Générale, quantitative easing may get more dramatic. More here. Okay, and this may be bullish for Bitcoin. Here's the tweet right here. Société Générale economist Anatoly Annikov said in a note that the European Central Bank will soon launch an open-ended, not a one-time, an open-ended easing program, which may lift the Eurozone out of a recessionary trend. Annikov wrote that after the 12th of September, everything once again, like I said, happening in September, meeting of the European Central Bank, it will announce 40 billion euros worth of monthly asset purchases. Once again, on the 12th of September, Bakkt launching on the 23rd, the European Central Bank will announce 40 billion euros worth of monthly asset purchases while cutting its deposit rate by 20 BPS. This may be a boom for hard assets like gold and Bitcoin. Firstly, this expected fresh round of easing shows that the European Central Bank is currently charting a recession, which may say we will see a capital rush into safe haven assets, namely gold and silver, but potentially Bitcoin as well. For those of you who have no idea what I was just talking about, quantitative easing, almost said easing again, pretty much means, in short, governments realize that something is wrong with the economy. They're seeing cracks in the system. You ever see a building has cracks in it and you see people trying to fill in the holes with like caulk and stuff like that, and they're like, put it in, they're like, let it dry, and they paint over and they go, yeah, we did it. But then the next week, like, the crack gets bigger. So what's happening in the economy right now, for those of you who have not been paying attention at all, you definitely do your homework. Start watching normal financial news. The world is not doing very well economically. And what happens is governments have realized we can print more money and simply throw it at the economy to make it look like it's doing better. And I know that sounds insane, but that's exactly how it works. If they see that a company is failing, or this is happening, or this needs more money, they simply print more money, push it into the system, and then stocks and bonds and mutual funds and the market and the housing market continue to do incredibly well. As prices keep going up, everyone's really happy, but then eventually people go, they printed like $2 trillion. How is it going to continue? There are no more buyers. Nobody wants any more debt. This is why we also heard, for those of you who were paying attention, who are they? The federal government, Fed, announced that they were going to be lowering interest rates. And people were like, what does that mean? It means when you lower interest rates, it makes getting debt, getting loans, getting mortgages more attractive. If the interest rate is currently 10% and you owe $1 million, that doesn't sound nice at all. But how does a 2% interest rate sound? I don't mind paying back 2% as opposed to 10%. Well, how does a 1% interest rate sound? There are certain countries around the world who are now doing negative interest rates. Think about that. Where they get so desperate because they understand that things aren't going well, that they will actually pretty much give you free money so that you continue borrowing. And what we have now is with quantitative easing, set it right again, governments around the world are realizing that there are problems within the economy, and they only exacerbate the problem by printing more money. And I know this sounds like a joke. It sounds like I'm making all of this up. Like it sounds like a joke from like a sketch comedy show. But this is how finance works. So they realize that there's a problem. They go, well, we have the power. We can print more money. Let's just print it and throw it out at the economy. This is why, to bring it all home, why Bitcoin does very well and will do very well in the future. You cannot print forever. This is what we saw with Venezuela and this country and that country. If your economy is doing bad and you simply print more money, your economy continues to do bad and even does worse. And then eventually you have inflation, hyperinflation, super mega ultra super saiyan inflation, where you get 1.5 million%, while we've seen before that the European economy, or rather the European state as a whole, and the United States typically understand how not to enter hyperinflation territory. They also don't really get how economy works. And they keep printing money because they can. And this is why we have inflation. And this is why we see during those periods, especially I'm sure you've noticed as well, when the economists go into the news and say, there's no recession going to happen. We just need more money pushed into the economy. Oh, even more so, finishing that thought, this is why those people say that. The other part being, I don't know how many of you remember, thanks to the internet, I'm pretty sure you can find this information out there as well. Remember I was so young, my gosh. Remember 2001 in America when the economy wasn't doing well, and 2008 in America when the economy wasn't doing well. You've seen it before and you're going to see it again. People go on the news and say, well, we think that Americans just have to spend more. People need to go out there and spend. You can find, I'm sure you can find news from 2001, the current president saying that people just have to go out there and buy more. You know why he said that? Because the economy is not doing well. So how do you get it to do better? People have to buy things. You have to swipe your card. You have to go into debt, and you have to pay back other companies for the rest of your life. This is how you continue to pump an economy. Part of the issue is, or rather the whole issue, is that the world is based on debt, and debt can't go on forever. You can't owe anyone debt for the rest of your life. It comes to an end point. You can't owe another country $2 trillion. At some point, you're going to have to pay it back. The point is that a lot of countries around the world have either very low interest rates to get people to borrow more, have negative interest rates, which is insane to even think about. And also we're now seeing the quantitative easing starting to happen as well, which is usually a very big indication that things are not going well and that money has to be pumped into the economy in order for it to make like it's doing well. And this only usually, typically, normally, benefits the cryptocurrency space. Keeping in mind, once again, this is all happening around the exact same time. Very weird. I don't know why everything is happening in September and October. Alas, this is what we have. Next up, major file sharing company known as BitTorrent, which is a subsidiary of the blockchain company known as Tron, is going to internally test its blockchain-based live streaming platform in Q3 of 2019. BitTorrent announced the news in an official blog post on the 27th of August. According to the announcement, the streaming platform called BitTorrent Live, or BeLive, supports live video content and an instant messaging service. Additionally, its underlying system reportedly contains a top user chart. In the user relationship feature, BitTorrent intends to roll out BeLive in alpha, beta, and full versions from Q3 of 2019, that starts in September, to Q1 of 2020, that is from January until March. The current alpha version features a small group of users to internally test the platform as the developers continue to implement features. The platform also supports several different payment and withdrawal methods, including Bitcoin, which is surprising, and BitTorrent coin with 0 transaction fees. A number of third-party services are also supported for withdrawal and deposits, including PayPal, Google Wallet, Android Pay, Apple Pay, WeChat and Alipay Be Live will also support earning and gifting options. Users will be able to earn BitTorrent token rewards through activities such as technical maintenance, content creation, and event planning. Additionally, users can buy gifts with BitTorrent token and send them to content creators who can, in turn, convert the gifts back into BTT. So, what I think is the most interesting about this is, one, I don't like Tron that much, but 1.5, kudos to them for sticking to their guns and actually doing it. They, I believe, Tron is partially integrated with BitTorrent. I think they're supposed to increase the amount of transactions on the network, something blah, 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 blah. 2 or 2.5 or 3, the point is, I'm a little confused, and bear with me on this. If I'm incorrect in any way, please let me know in the comment section. As far as I'm aware, streaming and torrenting are illegal in just about every single major country on this planet. Once again, correct me if I am incorrect. 2, a streaming platform that's going to pay people out in cryptocurrencies is a major red flag as far as regulatory concerns. 3, I'm fairly certain that BitTorrent itself is not a decentralized network, i.e. they have an office. This, once again, correct me if I'm incorrect. If you know the answer, please tell me. The fact that the people from Tron and BitTorrent are trying to launch a streaming platform that's going to pay people out in a cryptocurrency that could be potentially listed as a security within the United States or any other country who also has similar security laws to the United States is a bit weird to me. I don't know the full extent of how this is going to be launched and or released. I don't know who's going to be allowed onto their platform. I also find it a bit weird, stay with me here, that PayPal, Google Wallet, Android Pay, and Apple Pay are also going to be a part of this. Not WeChat and Alipay. There's a whole another discussion about that. But being able to cash out or pay in to the network, to the platform in Bitcoin or BitTorrent coin and cash out through these things is also another really weird red flag for me, especially if you are once again in a country where swapping into or cashing out of a cryptocurrency into something else initiates a taxable event. One would assume that this would also be doing so as well. I've actually waited a couple of years for a platform or something similar like this to launch. I've wanted a decentralized streaming platform, or even where people could put movies, video games, etc., onto these platforms. I've waited for a very long time for this. I don't know how decentralized this is going to be. It sounds like it's just going to be on the BitTorrent platform. And once again, forgive me if I'm mistaken, I'm fairly certain that streaming thing, because one would assume it's not going to be unlicensed things on this platform. It's probably going to be Hollywood movies or video games or blah, blah, blah on this platform to be able to stream or watch or so-and-so. I don't think they're trying to, or rather, I think they may be trying to create something similar to a YouTube platform, but I don't think they'll be able to create something similar to a YouTube platform. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a download. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying. I assume we'll get more information on this as time goes on. Little iffy. Little interesting. Regardless of how I feel about Tron, I would love if this succeeded. I love platforms like this. I would love a future where we could upload, watch, see, download anything that we wanted. I think this is where the world is moving to. This may be the beginning of that world that I'm looking for, but something about this seems a bit off, if you understand what I'm saying. But like I said, if I'm wrong, let me know, and yeah, I'll learn. Move on. To kind of finish things off, on the 29th of August, German blockchain-based banking startup known as Bitwala announced the launch of its smartphone app for Bitcoin banking on iOS and Android. Customers in over 30 European countries can now open a German bank account with integrated Bitcoin wallet and trading. The onboarding process for new customers has been directly integrated into the app. It uses a video identification feature, which I hate. I hate those so much, with which residents throughout the European Economic Area can verify and open an account within minutes. That part's not bad. Bitwala CTO Benjamin James explains, he said, once you have an account, you can seamlessly integrate your daily banking activities, whether in Bitcoin or Euro, into your everyday life. And quote, the account comes with a free debit MasterCard, and Euro deposits up to 100,000 euros, 110,000 US dollars, are covered by the German Deposit Guarantee Scheme. Kind of cool. I'm noticing around the European Union area, a lot of cryptocurrency banks are launching. This is kind of cool. I don't think there's anything negative that I have to say about this. I actually find this quite interesting. I like that Bitcoin has become so mainstream that you could have a Bitcoin bank account through an actual bank. I don't care for the fact that on top of this, we are losing another layer of any privacy that we might have had, having to let governments know that we own Bitcoin, have cryptocurrencies, and this is how much do we have because it's on this platform. This is why I think things like ledgers, nano ledgers are great, and why I think that desktop wallets with enormously long passwords that you should have written down somewhere are also great. I like the idea that we are legally allowed to custody and hold and own our own cryptocurrencies. But I feel like the world is also moving this way, and this is why I said I feel like Binance and Coinbase are already the standard for cryptocurrency banks around the world. I think it's going to continue like this. I wonder how the world will develop in 5 years when cryptocurrencies are hyper mainstream. May not be the only method of payment, but they will be incredibly well known. And you decide to simply download a wallet on your phone, on your blockchain phone in the future, and transfer stuff from your ledger onto your phone and decide to go on a shopping spree. If your payments will be accepted by certain carriers because you're not using a specified app that they deem usable. It's kind of like going into a store and you can tap your Visa, you can tap your MasterCard, but you don't have like a coconut card. I couldn't think of any other word. And like they won't let you accept, they won't accept that in a Starbucks or something because it's a coconut card. Like who uses coconut cards? You have a Visa or MasterCard. Anyway, you understand what I'm saying. I wonder how that's all going to unfold as we get more people into the space and prices rise and people do eventually start using their cryptocurrencies as a means of payment to buy cars, houses, and what have you. As always, why can't I speak ever? An enormously gigantic thank you to my Patreon supporters. They are Professor Wally from Gunbot University, My Phone is Hot, Adam Krakzik, Mohair Maroney, Master Ventures in Thailand, Brady Niels, Woody and Daisy, Triple M and J, Jared Schneider, Wise Night Owl, 242 to the World, Crypto Joe, Bankroll Network, Adobo, Miluizi, JR, Mechanic, Strange, Radio Central, Crypto Artist, Coldy, 3D, Cryptopolis, Nicholas, One Earth, One Piece, One Love, Damien, Setsuna, Nick, Kanaya, Richie Rich, The Third, Vlad the Impaler, Crypto and Beer Shipmate, Paxis, Nick Mangialavori, Anthony Charles, Jim Gardner, Jeremy Fox, Minting Coins, and Miller Hits Chest Every Day, and Kyle Skips Leg Day. Thank you all. An incredible amount for your support at the moment. The market is all over the place. There's no clear indication as to where things are going to go. I saw an article earlier. Wow. I sound insane. For those of you who are new to the channel, this is just how it always is. I can't really say anymore. I saw an article earlier. My goodness, why is that difficult to say? Where analysts were stating that they think that Bitcoin could try to have one final dip down to around 9,200 to see if it is an actual bottom, if it is the actual furthest down that Bitcoin will go. And they expect after that Bitcoin could then rise as all the sell and buy orders are then cannibalizing themselves as people are trying to get into the market as the price of Bitcoin has then gone lower. No one knows. This is always the fantastic part. However, we are in a very interesting trading range right now when it comes to Bitcoin, and this is why people believe that, I think even they said by next week, that we could see another dip further down. I'm expecting it at this point. I think, especially with all the news that we've had of the whales who've been actively manipulating the market to make sure that they acquire more Bitcoin, one can only assume if the prices of Bitcoin in the wider cryptocurrency space are expected to potentially maybe go up as Bakkt launches, this launches, so-and-so launches within the next couple of weeks, that they would try to do everything that they could to push the prices further down in an orchestrated effort to try and accumulate more Bitcoin before the prices end up going back up so that they can make their thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds and thousands of millions of dollars. It seems logical. Nothing else is really moving except for like some pumpy coins at the moment. Where is it? Like this one. It's called Thor Next. It has less than $200,000 in 24-hour volume. Wonderful. I hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all are having a great day, a great morning, a great afternoon, a great evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I do hope it's absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Thank you all once again for watching and listening. I hope you have a really nice day. Go out and enjoy yourself. The last days of summer. Go out, call your friends. Even if you just go sit in the porch and eat some pizza. Just hang out. Thank you all once again for watching and or listening. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.